Broadcasting alive from the Green Room Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates, celebrating 25 years of home and garden wisdom. Without further ado, your hosts, Josh Cary and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. Everybody's in place with their bright, shiny face here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Where have you been, my friend?
I have been...
You've been to McMurdo. You've been to Area 51. Oh, Groom Lake.
I haven't been around the world, but I have visited some parts.
Around?
I have been to some places that hitherto I have not visited. But perhaps we'll get to that in a few moments. But I am glad to be back, and I had a nice visit to some European destinations. My wife, Renee, is an artist, and she and two of her plein air artist friends went and did a week-long art class in Avignon, France. Well, it's a little outside of Avignon, actually. And the husbands and I went to Normandy and some other places. And
you can do that down in Tullahoma,
well, you could, I guess. It's a slightly. You can go to Paris.
yes.
Tennessee as well, but it's a different Paris. I also went there in Munich and Vienna. So some nice places I hadn't been to before. So anyway, thanks for mentioning. I'm glad that it's good to know that I was missed.
Yeah, we're.
So, and thank you, Adam Chapman, for capably filling in.
Yes.
And keeping the ball rolling here, because that's what we do here on the At Home Show. We're kind of, and we're somewhat plug and play. We have a variety of pieces. We have all the original pieces in place this morning, however. So that's a good thing.
Whether it's an inside issue or an outside issue with your garden.
That's right.
That's what we're here for.
We do have you covered. Now, first of all, we'll discuss that with respect to the weather. And today, of course, is Saturday, the 16th of September. And we're starting off the day with a little rain. It's not too much, but we're going to have a bit. I'm going to quickly jump over here to the radar, and you'll see that is, in fact, moving up through the area. If you're in downtown Nashville, we've got a little shower moving through. Most of the heavier rainfall at this point in time is south and east of Nashville. Smyrna looks like they're going to get a good little downpour there, Josh.
We need it.
And there's always some things to the west that could develop. So we're going to take the rain that we're given, and we're going to be glad about it. After today, however, we've got mostly sunny to partly cloudy conditions for the foreseeable future. Upper 70s and lower 80s are the rule, where we've got just really nice autumn conditions. It's really it's such a dramatic change from the last few weeks and months, for that matter.
Last week was nice.
Quite nice.
Yes. So we're all feeling that lift.
And I think, you can kind of see everyone seems to be a little more energetic than they have been. We'll look quickly at our weather station here and our rainfall amounts. We've gotten 2/100ths of an inch today so far. So just a smidge, 600ths for the week here. The month we've got 6,500ths, and we're approaching 41 inches for the year. So we have already exceeded our typical annual rainfall.
Can you check Gainesville, Florida, real quick for me?
I could. I'm not going to.
Okay.
Now, 62 degrees here live from the Green Room here in Nashville.
Who's that man in green over there?
September is usually the driest month, right? One of them.
October, I think, technically is a little drier, but with this El Nino year going on, there's a lot of deviations in weather, and rainfall can just occur, it seems like, at will or against the will. So hopefully we get some nice mild conditions, and we'll get some rainfall that will be helpful to all the gardeners out there in the world. Two of the gardeners that we're really grateful to have as a part of our cast of characters here: Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hey.
Good morning.
Hey, we're here. Austin was
finishing up some notes.
got show notes.
It's going to be a good one.
Doing
Show
some
notes.
show prep
Show
this
prep.
morning. And again, thank you, guys,
Showboat
for
show notes.
so capably being here. We also I want to thank. I'm so glad that Bridget came on.
Yes.
I've been trying to get her to get involved with this, and now that she knows that it's really not painful, it's actually
It's a little bit fun.
It's quite a bit fun.
She
as a
was
matter of
scoping
fact.
Caroline's seat out real hard,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, well, you
Man,
know.
I'm telling you.
So anyway,
Better watch her, Caroline.
we're really grateful that Bridget came on last week, and that really helps us to, have a well-rounded. We've got horticultural professionals here that work in every capacity, and it's really good to get everyone involved on.
Who's that?
It's Tyler Blankenship.
Oh, yeah.
That's the man
Hi.
that makes it all happen.
Yeah.
He's the guy that he's aware of the situations at hand.
He is.
Too much.
And he tries to do something to mitigate the ones that look to be negative. And
Yeah.
so far, so good. We don't have any negative ones. He was concerned I wasn't going to get on the air here quick enough, but I guess that's his
Like
job.
2 minutes, David.
2 minutes. Okay.
He was going to put a note in your permanent file about being late to work.
I got
this
the
morning.
counter thing on my screen
Yes.
as we're coming down to it. So anyway, welcome in everyone. We are here to talk about your gardening. Whether, as you said, Josh, whether it's inside or outside, we cover all the topics.
Yes.
And we're actually have been discussing a little refresh on our show name.
Uh-huh.
So that, well, no, I mean we're we want to really be.
Yes.
We don't intend to be anonymous. We really want to be relevant and be able to be found.
We want to be irrelevant?
No, we want to be relevant.
Oh, okay.
And by doing so, we're going to go through some rebranding of
Yes.
our show name here to be able to make our content a little more easily searchable. We know we put some really excellent information out there.
Oh, yeah.
And we want everyone to be able to grasp a hold of that at whatever part
some
they
point.
need. So, what you got over, guys? You got.
I got something real quick.
What's that?
The Nashville Lawn and Garden Show
Is
done.
no more. Yes, it is.
What? I didn't know that.
That is
Yes.
correct. Yes.
Last year was the last year.
Yep.
So-
And it's not shock to me
No.
that they had, since the move was made to the new facility, it really hasn't worked all that well. And unfortunately, that the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show is now history.
The fair.
Yeah, the Lawn and Garden Fair that preceded it, it took me a while to get.
What are we going to do in March? Are we still going to have Randall on?
I think we should.
Yeah, I think we should still have Randall on.
We're going to
every
have
year.
Randall on just to get, the primer for spring.
Yes.
And we'll bring him in. We'll have our own little 1 hour Nashville Lawn and Garden Show featuring Randall Lance. And we need to probably talk.
No,
to
we
him
put his
about it.
name above the title.
We could
Randall Lance presents the 1 hour Nashville Lawn and Garden Show.
and I think that's
Yes.
entirely appropriate.
Oh, we have a special on our hands.
Yes.
So we need to at some point let Randall know.
No.
But
Or just tell him.
Just spring it on him 2 weeks before.
yeah, well we
No more deviled eggs from Deb Varolo.
Well, Josh, we did our best for as long as we could.
I know.
I don't think that. I don't think it's a knock on us. I think it's
No.
just a situation that occurred, and things change.
Yes.
The first change that was the most dramatic, in my opinion, was years ago. The show used to be in February, and it got moved to March. And because of that, I think the show lost a little of its
Pop.
wonder,
Yes.
because in February, when you've got an indoor facility with full of things in bloom, it's more
agree.
spectacular than March because they're already flowering outside. And I think that took some of the luster off of it, and it kept it from being as special of an event as it perhaps could have been. But thanks to Todd Breyer and Randall and all the cast of people. I mean, many hundreds of people. And certainly thousands over the year who worked diligently.
If you've never worked a trade show, folks, you have no idea the amount of work that has to go in for the prep and pro.
And how it all comes together at the 11th hour and 59th minute. It's
And 59 seconds.
yes, it's
You're opening the doors and they're still plugging things in the back of the facility. It happens
Is that pond leaking? How are we going to get it to stop? So anyway, thanks for all the great memories and the great experiences for everyone associated with the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show, now closed. In perpetuity. So there's that. Okay.
We got questions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do we? You know what? We're going to start strong. I
Okay.
know there's a sore subject still in this room from the winter freeze, so let's talk about boxwoods a little bit.
Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way.
This is not necessarily pertaining to that, but I know everybody always likes to hear about your boxwoods. How are they doing, Kev?
They're great.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I did a little research, and I didn't come prepared with a photograph or some. And we have sold Faulkner boxwood over the years, but at the Memorial Cemetery in Normandy, there is a garden area where they have like several different cultivars of boxwood for low hedges, and Faulkner was the one, at least in that climb, that seemed to be doing the best. So, for what it's
fairly
worth,
temperate in Normandy, though.
oh yes,
Yeah,
it's very much a Mediterranean climate.
Yeah.
So they don't have the cold that we have, but that one really looked nice. So anyway, there's that. Just in from Normandy.
There it is. So someone is having a problem with their boxwood, similar to a lot of people around town. This one sitting next to me. I know one of mine got flat topped by my husband the other day. So
What? He's
I
not
know
allowed-
he was weed eating at night.
He's not allowed to do those things.
Yeah, it was my boxwood named Ben Trust here at the nursery. I got a good haircut. But anyways, let's get to this question. In the last 2 years, I purchased several boxwoods grown by Flowerwood. This year, all boxwoods, including these that have been in my landscape for many years, are showing signs of dieback disease. Are any others experience the same type of issues with their boxwoods? Is there anything I can do to save them? They did not send a picture.
You are not alone in this. This has been widespread through Nashville and other areas. But yeah, there's a lot of dieback this year, and me and a number of the guys have talked about it, and I think it's a mix of that winter that we had, that stressed a lot of the boxwoods, and then also this summer we've been so wet. Boxwoods really don't like wet feet, and this summer it's been a big mix of heat, but also wet. You know this because you've been mowing your grass more than any other year ever. It's really annoying. God, that grass is tall. Anyway. But boxwoods seem to have like fungal issues going on because of this. I've got a green velvet that made it through the winter just fine, no winter injury. Until now, I'm starting to see little chunks of brown in them, in random areas. Not horrible, but certainly present. So really, all you can do is really cut out those chunks of brown, and you're going to leave a hole. You are. It's not going to be a perfectly round green ball like boxwoods typically are. You're going to open them up just a little bit, but you got to do that. I mean, what else you going to leave the brown there and just look at it? You may as well cut it out and look at a little hole. If you do that, you'll open up, an area for light to penetrate, and then hopefully new leaves in the spring will happen, and it'll make that green ball again.
And actually, if I'm not mistaken, this was also a member of our viewing audience is also a customer, and he sent an email to the newsletter this week, and that did have a couple of photographs, if I remember correctly, on it, and they are your very typical little dead spots here and there that are probably best remedied, as you just said, just by pruning them out, giving it a chance to fill back in. It doesn't mean that they are dying. It just means that there are some spots that are, for whatever reason, be it too wet, which is certainly a possibility. Boxwood do not like wet feet. But just get it pruned out of there, give it an opportunity to be able to grow back in. And you probably won't do it this fall, but certainly with a light shearing overall next spring, you'll have a good chance to fill that back in. You may never know it was ever there.
Has the blight somewhat receded? Yeah.
I was with you on recited.
Okay, you knew what I meant
I
anyway.
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think if it has, it's due to the amount of precautions that are taken.
Okay.
A few years ago, before
awful.
the boxwood blight became well understood, there was not a lot of precautions done on the grower side, so it was a lot more at risk to get spread through that means. Now, largely due to the state of Tennessee Department of Agriculture, the nationwide regulations have kind of been based upon what the state of Tennessee has done.
Very cool.
and consequently, the incidence has gone down.
Very good.
So,
That is a great thing. Boxwoods are precious to a lot a people.
they
Me,
are indeed.
Austin, my
Lots of
boxwood
people.
named Ben that
Maybe
has a
not
flat
your
top.
maybe not your husband, but
I think he must be mad at Ben right now. I don't know. He chopped him all the way back.
But if Ben comes in here, well, Ben can't have a flat top. He's like me.
Yeah, he doesn't have hair to have a flat top, so maybe Derek was helping him out.
We got to build him a deck.
Yeah, build him a deck. So let's talk about Leyland cypress. So somebody has a Leyland cypress that had freeze from the December freeze we got that has a lot of damage, and they're wondering, can they go ahead and cut those dead branches off?
This is what
I
we
would
call
say so.
opportunity
Yeah.
in my
Yes.
book.
This is, I mean, it's very obvious on which limbs you need to cut and which ones you don't. I see Leyland cypress all over the place that I'm just like, why are y'all not cutting that back? It's killing me. It's like a whole row of them coming into work, and I see like the top third of them dead, but still a lot of green coming up and flushing past it. But they're leaving the brown on there. It's just you got to get that out of it. Once you get the brown limbs out of there, it'll look so much better. And then next spring, it's going to have a whole new flush, as long as the winter doesn't do something weird again. But we'll have a new flush of growth, and it'll hide all
And,
that.
if it doesn't come out satisfactorily next year, make the switch to Green Giant arborvitae. It's so much better plant. 20 years ago, Lelands were widely grown and widely used, but they've always had issues. And the freezing conditions we have from this past winter were just one of them. They also are very susceptible to canker. They also are very susceptible to drought. They just don't like any change whatsoever. Green Giants are much more
Forgiving, yes.
much more forgiving. And from a distance, they don't even look different, except the fact that they're alive and growing, and they will get quite a bit larger. But they're a wonderful plant, so that's another option in case the Lelands don't work out for you.
Wonderful.
Really quickly, Janice commented on the Bates Facebook page.
Did she really quickly comment, or
Yes.
is-
So
It
fast.
says just now on the label, so
okay.
it's hot off the press. Do you have lemongrass?
Oh my gosh, we got some giant lemongrass in 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I believe it looked like pampas grass. It was huge. I think it's in a 1 gallon pot. Bridget was like, wow, that's lemongrass. And it smells amazing.
That's
So-
lemongrass for you. That's the MO. You plant it as a tiny
It
little
gets
baby in the spring.
giant, like
massive.
this big.
Uh-huh.
And you can walk through it if you don't mind getting cut up a little bit. Fantastic. So let's move on to some crepe myrtle questions. So this first one we're going to ask, I want to go ahead and say, they said they feel like they're the only ones who don't know about this. That's not true at all. Most people don't know when and how to trim back their crepe myrtles. So that is our next question, when and how to trim crepe myrtles.
All right, good question. And you're going to do this during dormancy. We talk about this all the time, so it's going to drop its leaves here fairly soon. It's one of the first to kind of drop its leaves for the wintertime. And anytime during dormancy, you can do it. This is whenever it has no leaves over the wintertime. Okay, this gives you a great opportunity to see the actual branching structure of the plant, and you can see which stems you want to keep, which ones you don't. And this really depends on you and your aesthetic and how you want to look at it. Do you want to see more of a shrubby crepe myrtle? Do you want to see more of like single canes up to a canopy? Do you want to see a single stem crepe myrtle? That's kind of cool. I kind of like that look, just a single trunk to a canopy crepe myrtle. That's based on you and how you want to look at that. And then after that, you're going to give it a top, okay? So you're not going to just, whack it back too much or whatever, but you're going to take some of those stems back a little bit and shorten them. This will make for a bushier habit next spring, and you'll have a lot more flowers. So
Yeah, and one of the things that if you can delay that nearer to spring, you will reduce the chance of having to get in there and cut on it a second time. Crepe myrtles, as was demonstrated this winter, are susceptible to freeze damage.
Weren't they?
So if you have cut them back and then you have more freeze damage, then there will be some more trimming that you will need to do. So you could delay till the end and just get it all done in one shot, or you can trim earlier and take the chance.
Take the risk, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's going to compromise its health, but it's just, can you get it all done in one shot, or do you have
Ours
to?
died all the way back to the ground this year, which is unusual for
that was your red rocket.
my red Sammy and Hagar. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, those are
Yeah.
those are amongst the least hardy of other
They're
much more
glorious,
hardy,
though.
like Natchez crepe myrtle. It didn't even phase those.
Yeah.
Really fast on that crepe myrtle. I sent a picture to Austin and Tyler last week of my mom's Natchez. It is giant. It didn't have any dieback. I mean, the trunk's like this big.
Yeah.
It made her look, she's already a tiny woman, but it made her look so little in the photo.
It did.
I'll bring it in next week, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I haven't seen one with a trunk that big in Tennessee.
This just in, the secret to keeping the petite appearance is to have large, Natchez crepe myrtle in your yard.
And also to be
That's,
4'9". That's how you do it
that's
as
the
well.
other way, yeah.
Good morning, Sherry.
Oh, Joan is
Sherry.
saying, Joan is saying her Natchez grape myrtles have little white creamy looking things on the trunk.
Oh yeah.
Is this something to be concerned with?
Yep.
Yeah, this has been bad this year. The scale on crepe myrtle has been out there this year.
Ooh.
My brother is a really good landscaper, and he was out at a customer's house, and he sent me a picture of scale that was on a crepe myrtle of this lady's house. It was awful. I mean,
That's
little
a critter,
white.
isn't it?
It's a bug, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's an insect, and we call it scale insects. They have this
Okay.
some of them are hard scale, some of them are soft scale. And this one is a soft scale, so it's got this like cushiony kind of substance that wraps around its body, and it's kind of like a little protector of it from other insects.
They
or
are
whatever.
squishy, though.
Yeah.
They are
They
squishy.
are.
Yeah, you can push it and it'll bleed red.
No, they're
It'll
gross.
just-
They look like they belong at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, they're
I
nasty.
found one once on a monstera like this big.
So how do we get rid of them?
That might
To
be
me-
exaggerated.
Scared.
Trying to be somewhat organic if we can. Scale is rough to get rid of, and you kind of have to use some harsher chemicals.
Particularly during the growing season.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you can use a low-ish pressure washer, this is my goal, and this is like an electric pressure washer, and literally blast off the stems. It's mainly on the stem, so that's a good
Right.
thing. You're not going to injure leaves all that much by spraying it, but you can hit that stem with a pressure washer. And physically, literally remove them, and that's a good method to
And
start
use
with.
the widest fan nozzle that you have. Don't use
Not
that
the
bullet
needle point?
You're not
No.
trying to blast a hole through it.
You can carve with that, though.
Yeah, you would carve
And
it.
you
Yes.
need to work from far away into close, just close enough to wash them off there. But that will do it. In the dormant season, you need to be thinking about treating with dormant oil.
Yes.
And that goes a long way, not only to help prevent the scale, but other injurious pests.
Mm-hmm.
You want to coat all leaf, well, the leaves will be gone, but all stem surfaces
Yeah.
completely.
It's cheap, too, isn't it?
And get that done, say, early March.
Yeah.
While the temperatures are still fairly cool, and it will go a long way towards helping.
It is.
I spray scale off a cactus sometimes, and it's pretty fun to do. I mean,
satisfying.
I'm not excited that my cactus sometimes gets it, but it happens.
Do you have your cactus blaster that you?
I do. I've actually got one here and one at home. It's like this little wand that has a nozzle that, blasts off that scale. Let's stay on the crepe myrtle topic, though. We have a photo to bring up. A viewer did send us something, and they are asking about this crepe myrtle. It's basically time for it to go. They said it's gotten out of hand. It litters all over their car. They want to remove it. So, A, they want to know the best method to get it out of here, and then B, what would be a good replacement. It does have full sun from morning to late afternoon.
Right there by the driveway, huh?
right there on the driveway. Yeah.
Oh, that was a good idea. It looked good back in the day, though.
Might not
Yeah.
have been his choice either.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first off, with the crepe myrtle on removing it, good luck.
Yeah.
Honestly, you
They're
can dig
tough.
one up, and they're coming back from the roots. Like that's the good thing. The good thing about crepe myrtle is that even if you see like this big time winter injury and it kills all the sticks above, it's not killing anything down below. That thing is right back, just like Josh was saying. They'll get back. What's yours, Josh? Probably 5 foot by now.
Oh, closer to 7.
Yeah, 7 foot tall from the ground, from sucker growth, people. So getting rid of and actually
people.
getting rid of it is tough. But I don't know if you can do it yourself or not, but you got to dig literally so many roots out of there to make sure it does not come back. Getting someone to use a machine maybe would be a little bit better for
Well,
you.
and a little maintenance on it during the growing season. I think I'd probably take it back to the ground and then let it grow to a tree form more so than what I'm seeing on the picture.
You certainly could, and that's
Yeah.
probably going to be a way easier method for you. Like
Yeah.
Josh was saying, literally go out there and when it drops its leaves, go out there, cut it to the dirt, and then just see what comes back next spring. And you're going to see a lot that comes back. And then at that point, you can make it a much more manageable like shrub if you want to.
Right.
Mainly just by pruning.
Can we see what color picture? I can't really see the picture from where I'm sitting.
It's hard to see what color.
It's back on the monitor, Josh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks.
It's too much.
It's already gone
It is
beyond.
too much.
Yep.
It's already gone past the bloom
But
days.
if you had a small little, if you cut it literally to the
I
dirt.
think I see some white in there, possibly over on the far right center of the.
Yeah,
So-
go
Yeah,
tree
zoom
form.
on in.
Yeah, I'm going in tree form.
You can go tree form, or you could do a little shrubby guy.
Yeah.
You could just let some stems come up as a little shrub and keep it like a 4 to 5 foot shrub.
Or you can believe that it's a Natchez crepe myrtle, and you can dig it out.
So
Yeah.
Colin did say it's white and pink. So
White
that is
and
the
pink.
color of
Well, it's
that.
more than one cultivar in there.
Right.
That's
White
how
and
that
pink.
happens.
Oh, side by side.
There-
But he is asking about removing it, though, and then replacing it with something else. So if he does manage to get it out of the ground, what would you put there? What would you
Well,
suggest?
Then we have questions. What would you like to see there? Would you
Yes.
like to? This is where we ask you questions on what you would want to see. And this is, do you want something evergreen that you can see through the wintertime? Do you want something upright in habit? Would you like something round in habit? Would you prefer something that flowers?
Can you
Man,
push
flowers
it
a
back
lot.
away from the driveway about 4 feet? To
Yeah,
the
you want to
left?
create a new bed a little bit
Yes.
that's like further away from that wall because that's a little tight. That's kind of a tight spot right there.
Now, Austin did a great webinar on columnar plants here in the last year. And it really covers a whole selection of things that are what we refer to as fastigate.
Don't cuss on the program.
They just means they're columnar. They
Oh.
grow upright. They don't
Josh.
spread out too much.
Rascal.
And in a full sun situation, which is what it's been described, there's a lot of choices that you can use in there that won't get out over the driveway. That'll be easy to grow. So probably need some kind of mechanical assistance to get
Yep.
that out of there.
Seriously, yeah. But I mean, in my mind, I could picture like David was saying, with an upright habit, get you a beautiful, tall, skinny Taylor juniper there on the
Yeah.
corner, and then make a bed, a little bubble around that, and let's pop some color
Let's
around
pop
that.
some color all around that.
straight
What
from-
about one of
around it.
those blue Atlas cedar that are in the corner back there?
Oh, no, there you go. That's
it's
a nice-
tall. It's slender.
It's got some nice color to it.
We have some
right
great
behind
ones
me here.
in
This
there.
blue light back there. It's very nice there, and they have they have a kind of an open form of growth habit. They
They're
really.
cool.
And you can side shear those to tighten them up if you want to make them a little bit. So it's a really great plant. Beautiful.
I call them gangly.
Gangly.
They got a gangly habit.
Colin
Once
said
they
that
age.
was
And it's
wicked
cool.
helpful.
Yay.
good.
That's
you,
what we're
Colin.
here for, Colin.
All right.
Okay, so we do have a couple other photos. So, Tyler, I think I did go out of order, so I apologize for that. Do you have the picture of the Japanese maple that you can throw up?
Yes.
We have somebody that's saying, help, my Japanese maple looks like this all over. It's a red Japanese maple. So here we go.
Okay.
Hey.
Hold on.
There we
Almost
go.
there.
I'm not a Japanese maple. What?
Okay.
Yeah.
No. It's okay.
No,
This is
no.
what's called September. This is the way
I have to say,
Japanese
yeah, mine look
Japanese
crispy.
maples often look crispy in September.
I have a little bee-hoo that I got home from being out of town, and all the leaves are crispy right now. But it's still
looking like
alive.
a
It's got
boo-hoo.
plenty
I
of...
think this might be a customer that I chatted with the other day. Correct me if
No,
I'm wrong, but
Kim?
she was. It may have been Kim. Yeah, I'm not sure. I never got her name that day, but we did talk about this, and I was telling her to not fret too much because
No.
what I can see in that picture is fresh buds for next year.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what I was going to say. Because if you can look back closely on that, you can see them right there in the very top. That means it's good to go for next year. It's just got foliage that it's taken its toll from the summer heat, and
It's scorched a little sunburn.
they're ready to get rid of them because they no longer can contribute to photosynthesis of the plant. They're deciduous, so the days are getting shorter. Soon they're all going to be gone. So
Yep.
don't fret about that. The plant actually looks really good. Exactly why Austin said, because it's got buds obvious all over the top of it, so it's
Yeah.
in good shape.
The only problem with it is she came in, and if this is the right guest, she told me that it's been in for 5 years, and I thought 5 years, that's interesting. Like a plant's pretty well settled in after 5 years, especially a tree. So I was just, it potential fungus this year also too could be a reason why that's kind of doing that. But like I was telling you the other day, look at those buds, and they're nice and plump and juicy red, ready to crack. So there you go.
Gonna be
ready
great.
to crack. I'm ready to crack some more questions. I was waiting for that one. Evergreen screening tree for a wet area. They want to avoid drooping magnolia leaves. So my guess would be maybe they have a magnolia there and they're looking for other suggestions.
Okay.
Well, the way to avoid it is not to plant a magnolia.
Yeah, in a wet area. You're right, Josh.
Yes. Thank you.
Holly is an option for a somewhat wet area. I've seen hollies in some pretty wet scenarios that can do well. My personal favorite, the Nellie R. Stevens holly, is a very thick, tall-growing holly, 15, 20-foot tall, and just dense. You can't barely see through it. Great for the birds. Lots of berries, good berry set every single year. That would probably be my go-to because there's not a ton of evergreens that really like a wet spot. There's just not.
No, they're really not.
But holly can take it. So that would be my go-to.
They're at least somewhat tolerant.
Yeah.
Hey, something that helps everything to
Yes.
adjust its very best when you're planting is Earth Mix Garden products. And
Yes.
I've been away for a couple of weeks. I almost forgot that. We also talk about the products we recommend on our program here. And Earth Mix Garden products are 100% organic. They are all made right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And not only are they organic, they also are the most viable inputs that can be obtained in order to be able to give you an amendment and soil mixes that are the most viable available anywhere. And if you don't believe us, check with the folks who talk about us online and the success that they have with it. Earth Mix Garden products is second to none. And it doesn't matter whether you're using ready-to-use mixes such as Earth Mix Garden, or if you're wanting to use something like a Proganics O for outdoor container gardening, or Proganics I for indoor container gardening. All of these are made 100% organic. There's no peat in any of the Earth Mix products, so you're assured of having the greenest and most viable soils and amendments available anywhere. So the good thing about it is there's an ever-increasing number of locations where Earth Mix is available. Go over to the website, earthmix.net, and click on the Find Earth Mix tab. And once you're there, you'll see that there are a whole globe worth of places. But more closely here, Redmond's Lawn and Garden and Landscape up in Lexington, Kentucky is one of the spots. We've got Millington Garden Center down in Memphis. Many locations around Middle Tennessee, over in East Tennessee, throughout Kentucky, Northern Alabama. Put in your address for search directions for turn by turn, or simply zoom in and go to the location nearest you. And I encourage you to keep this in mind. Success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden products.
It has the best inputs, so you get the best output.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, so Lisa is. Oh, so sorry.
No,
Talk
it's all
right
good.
over you.
It's all good.
I just wanted to get Lisa's question. So she did just comment on our previous question about planting evergreens in a wet area. So she said, "What about cypress?"
No. No. Avoid that.
Yeah.
You see issues when you do that.
What about you?
I mean, the only
No,
thing
definitely not
talking
about
about-
the
I
on-
put some in a pool
The
once,
only
like that.
cypress you could use in a wet spot is a bald cypress.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
But
if you
it's-
want a deciduous option, yeah.
It's not
that-
evergreen.
Yeah,
But it's
a
not
deciduous
evergreen.
conifer.
It's only evergreen if you close your eyes in the winter, the entire winter.
Just shut them. Go into hibernation like those bears.
But hey, I love bald cypress. Yeah, if you can deal with a deciduous plant, bald cypress is great.
You've
for
got
a
to
wet
rise
area.
and fall, don't
But
you?
you know, and what a lot of people don't realize that a bald cypress is a conifer. It's just a deciduous conifer. It means it drops its leaves or needles, as the case may
Yeah,
be.
that's
So
the tree you see out in Louisiana. That's the state tree of Louisiana that sends all them roots up out of the swamps.
those knees.
They're
My
so
knees.
My
cool.
knees.
They're beautiful.
So
They get
cool.
big. Yeah, and like Caroline just
Monsters.
said, I've got one in the yard. It's called Rise and Fall. I did a little video on it once because it's such a cool plant. It's an absolutely beautiful bald cypress. I mean, fantastic. Hence the name Rise and Fall. It sends its needles like kind of up first, and then it just like gradually cascades.
Drink
Oh, money.
Oh my gosh.
Honey.
Take a picture. Bring it in next week.
Okay, we'll do it.
Speaking of money, I bet people are wondering what's around the green room today. What
I
could it
am.
be?
Yes.
What's in room with Caroline?
Let's do it, y'all. All right, so on the other side behind David, we already talked about that blue Atlas cedar. But let's just look at it one more time. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's a specimen. If you put it in your yard, people are going to be like, oh my gosh. Wow. Debbie, who's one of our seasonal workers here at the nursery, actually has one at her house that is it's probably the biggest one I've ever seen. I'm not sure how old it is, but Tyler, you've seen it. How tall would you say that was? I want to say 60 feet, but that's wrong.
No way.
It's not 60
Which
feet.
one?
I actually know where there is one that's at least 60 feet tall.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
here in Nashville?
Green Hills.
Yeah,
I think I
well,
know the
East
tree.
Nashville, I've
Yeah.
seen a couple also. So
It
yeah.
looks like I'm taking a drive after work.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk
Okay.
after the broadcast.
All right.
And then under the TV, we've got some giant cast iron plants that we just got in down in perennials. So this is a shade-loving plant. I mean, look how big they are. They kind of look like a tropical house plant in a way, and they are
2.5, 3 feet tall.
huge. They will fill out a space.
I just wonder how they got the name cast
iron plant.
I think more like
Somebody at the lodge did it.
more like aluminized
Someone at the
copper or
lodge.
something. Okay, but anyway.
They're cool though. I have some up in houseplants that aren't really hardy here that are speckled that are really pretty. So if you want one as a houseplant, they also do make pretty good houseplants as well. So down in front of you guys, we've got a type of euphorbia. I mean, we talk about this all the time. There are so many plants in that grouping, but it's the white little wispies back there. It's great for a mixed container. That one is called Glitz. So that's a fun name right there.
Putting on the glitz.
Putting on the glitz. That's right. David was putting on the glitz with that jazz hand on that
Yeah.
euphorbia. I know Austin has put these in his mixed planters quite a few times, and I know they really, really fill out.
They end up eating the whole container,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
they're great. I still love them.
But they're wonderful.
And so that everyone knows that euphorbia is not a sensation from the 70s.
Correct.
This
Yes.
is an actual plant. That would be euphoria. So
It's
don't
easy
confuse
to get them
those.
confused,
out.
easily confused. So down in front of the glitz, we have the Sunseeker White Echinacea. So it's a shorter echinacea. We have so much down in the perennial house. Come see Bridget today if you missed her on the show this morning, and she will walk you through all the different colors, all the different varieties that we have. And then we've got Cranesbill geranium, the little purple flowers that you see, another shade-loving perennial. So that one's going to fill things out. It has that nice woodland look.
Now we
So
also
if you're
have
going for that.
a native Cranesbill, right? Mm-hmm. Is this one of those, or
I
do
think
you
that
know?
one's Roseanne.
Roseanne?
Yeah,
think
I don't
so,
know if
yeah.
we have the native in stock right now, but we do carry it. And then on the end in front of Tyler, we've got one of my favorite annuals, Snapdragon. I've loved this one since I was a kid. Wow, I know.
And they really
And it's a
take
nice
a lot
plant.
of cold weather, so
Yeah.
you can plant them now and go.
Go
All
wild.
different
Way
kinds
And
of
they get
colors too.
huge
Yes,
too. They
do.
get way bigger than you think they would get. And then on our side of the room, we've got mums. It's mum season, y'all.
Hey.
We've got so many mums in at the nursery. We have some giant ones that are like way bigger than me. It's crazy.
Half
They're
bushel.
multicolored.
They are monsters.
They are monsters. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they are a fantastic price for the size they are. But I couldn't fit them in the studio this morning, so we have
get
some
through the
smaller
door.
ones.
They're
Huh?
monsters.
They
You
wouldn't have
couldn't have got
fit
it?
through the
No,
door. I
no.
would have broken them. Julie would have slapped me, and then I would have cried. It would have been terrible. Just kidding. That would never happen. We've got Shasta Daisy in front, and then we've already discussed these echinacea. Ornamental peppers, if you want to spice things up a bit, add some color. We do have a question on these later, so we'll get to that. And then we've got more snapdragons up here. And a fun fact about snapdragons, a lot of people that worked here didn't know this when I started. I was like, do you know they can talk? And they were like, no, they can't. Snapdragons can't talk. What? Let's make this one talk. Kev, be the voice of the snapdragon.
Hi,
the
I'm a Snapdragon.
Look at that.
Puff the
That's
magic
not an exciting
snap.
voice, Kevin. Say words.
It's a dragon.
It is a
It
dragon.
must be loud,
It must be, yeah. It must
but
be
it's too
loud.
pretty to be
down
loud.
right
I don't know
now.
how to do that voice.
But if you squeeze it, they talk, and you
Put
can have a
me
little puppet
down.
show. I did put it down. It's already down. But that is what's in room this morning. So
right.
thank you
Right.
for going on this little tour. And now I did say we have a question about ornamental annuals. Somebody did ask, can I eat ornamental kale and cabbage?
You can.
Well, you can eat anything.
That's true.
Is
you
it
can
good
eat
for you?
anything.
Collective sigh.
Well, I mean, the biggest difference is they'll sell. The reason we say ornamental is because it's potential that they have been treated for potential insects, and this is before they ever get to us. Here, we don't ever spray anything out here, y'all. We're totally organic when it comes to that. We're looking for insects or pathogens or whatever. If we have that, we quickly get rid of it. We don't stick around with that, and we also don't spray for stuff. But before it's received by us, it is a potential that they have been treated to kind of keep bugs off of things. So no, if it says ornamental on it, please don't eat that very much. We have plenty of other vegetables that have not been treated with anything that you can certainly eat.
Yeah, it's a common practice for ornamentals to have been treated frequently with a systemic type, and certainly they are used far less now than they were even just a few years ago. However, they are sold and grown as ornamentals, which by definition means that they're not to be eaten.
They're very popular.
Don't
this
do
year.
it.
Everybody's got a bunch of different varieties of those
They're
ornamental
too pretty
peppers.
to eat.
Great
Yeah.
mixed containers. Great mixed container.
Awesome.
plants.
I mean, those cabbage that we have back there would fill out like a 14-inch pot. It's crazy with some pretty spillers. They are ginormous. So on the topic of just fall things that we're getting in here at the nursery, somebody did ask, do you have fall bulbs in yet? Yes, we do. We got them in 2 days ago. We have so many different ones. Everybody's always excited when those bulbs come in. It's a sight to see.
Tulip
So they are-
time.
Tulip time. That's
Oh,
right.
God, I
Planted
can't wait.
so
what color am I
much
going to go
last
with this year?
I don't know.
You're going to go with pink. You're going with pink.
I usually do go with pink. Maybe I'll mix. Nah, I don't mix usually. I usually pick one color and roll with it. But as everybody should know by now, you got to put them tulips in first before you put them pansies in. Now look, we got tulips and pansies, so come out here all at once, get the tulips, put them in the dirt, put the pansies on top of the dirt. Y'all get it?
Lasagna.
And then you're going to have a fancy garden bed.
Lasagna. Yes, next
Lasagna.
spring you're going to love
Lasagna
me.
it up.
Yep.
You're going to love me.
It is a great presentation when they start pushing up in the springtime.
It's so good.
Hey,
It
Nina's
really
got
is.
one more quick question before we go to the bait spot. But my 9-bark wine color leaves have new growth on tips in the silvery white color. What's going on? My 9-bark wine color leaves have new growth in a silver color,
Silver color. I want to see this.
silvery white color.
Wonder if there's. I mean, we kind of get that out here a little bit from overhead irrigation and like calcium residue, but I don't know why that would be happening.
Yeah, I haven't seen that occurring, so I'm
I'm
not
confused
Send
by
in a
this. We need
photo.
pictures.
Need
A photograph
pictures.
would be very helpful.
Send us a picture. I'll call you later.
You'll get a phone call from Austin.
Uh-huh.
Nina, where can they send pictures, Tyler?
Well, you can send them to two places.
Yes.
You can send them to info@batesnursery.com or at homeshow.jcdb@gmail.com.
Oh, that's easy.
We were going to. We just managed to eliminate only 22 letters of the alphabet in that email address. We'll
Here,
work on
I'll-
streamlining that one. Hey, let's talk about Bates Nursery and Garden Center. There's a picture of my grandmother you see right up there, a Nashville tradition, and indeed, fall selections are arriving daily. We've got quite a vast array of annuals. Pansies, violas, everything for fall color. So much so, my grandmother would have been really proud. There she is with a couple of azaleas in her hands. But this time of year, we're talking about fall things. Ornamental grasses are putting on a show right now.
Yep.
Perennials of all kinds. Caroline talked about earlier the number of things around the studio here. And coming out and seeing Bridget and everyone else down in the greenhouse area and seeing just what we've got on hand. It's really a spectacular array of things. And if you come out, you're going to notice we're still working on this parking lot that we've been talking about here for a little bit, or maybe trying to not talk about. I had hoped to be done by now. We are not. So we're going to be a couple more weeks. So our parking, rather than being better in the short term, is actually worse. So we're working
There's
everything.
still plenty of space.
There's
there.
still
is.
plenty
We'll
of
get you
space,
in.
but it is fall, thankfully, and not spring. So it's not quite as much of a crisis situation as it would be.
gonna
But we
be
are going. It's going to
spectacular.
be really nice. It just isn't yet. So bear with us, and we appreciate that. What we've also got, of course, is a fully connected structure between the checkout area all the way to the back of the greenhouse. So even if you've got some showers or you think it might be slightly inclement weather today, no, don't worry about it. If it starts raining, you can step inside and shop and look at all the things we have indoors. Quite an extensive selection of those kinds of things. You need to talk to Ryan when you're over there in what we refer to as the Baitstrium. It is our big connected structure in between. And
So
all of
cool.
our shade plants are in there, and Ryan's a wonderful guy and a wealth of information. Just one of the great experts we have here on hand, our landscape professionals at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where since 1932 we have been beautifying Nashville, Middle Tennessee, bringing you the absolute finest selections of not just best plants, the materials to grow them with, such as Earth Mix Garden products, but also expertise. We are gardeners. We don't just sell plants for a living. We are people who actually enjoy the process of gardening successfully, and we're just really grateful to have the opportunity to share that experience with you. So come out and see us. We're conveniently located a mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike. That's just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, downtown Nashville West.
Yes.
And even if you live in Smyrna, or if you live a lot
Rutherford
further
County,
away,
man.
a lot further away than that, we're still worth the
Tullahoma,
drive from
come on,
anywhere.
yeah.
It's a very pleasant, worthwhile drive to see the selection of things we've got. Fruit trees. We got in
Golly.
huge selection of fruit trees and all other manner of trees this week. Austin, you want to talk about that for just a second? You handled them.
Yeah.
What don't we have?
Oh, I can't think of anything we don't have. Good Lord, that was a morning. We get a great morning workout out here whenever that truck arrives. So it's a full semi front to back, 53 foot of trees, stacked on trees. Like it's like 3 stacks high.
Carefully
it ain't,
stacked.
No, carefully stacked.
Yes.
It's actually, if you've never seen that, for me it's just normal. We've seen it 1,000 times. But if you've never seen a truck stacked front to back like that with trees, it's actually a pretty cool process. But
It's
unloading
wild.
them, it is. And then unloading them is just literally work.
Want it-
Grab it, get it off the truck, hand it to another guy. He puts it somewhere, and then we get it put up. But if any kind of fruit tree you could possibly want right now, we've got. So, I mean,
If
you
they
actually
ain't got
come
it,
out
you
and
don't
buy
need it.
some because they're too tight.
Yes.
Our tree lot is almost too tight. You
It's
can barely even
overflowing.
get
It
in
is.
there. So let us help you get in there and find those fruit trees. Yeah, buy 10 of them. Put 10 fruit trees in the yard. Why not?
Do it.
Have an
Dig
orchard.
them
You
know,
holes.
you're going to need 2 apple trees anyway.
Yep.
Yeah,
And 3 and 4
You might
helps
as
even
well
better.
get a couple peaches too.
5, 6,
and
7,
don't
8.
forget the Earth Mix landscape
Gotta
when
have
you
it.
are planting. So
Gotta
anyway,
have it.
come out and see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, and we're now open Sundays noon until 4. So come see us.
All right.
Come on
We're
down.
going to help Janice get an answer right now. My Persian shield is about 4 feet tall. Beautiful. How
Yes.
well will it tolerate being in the house this winter? Anything else I need to know about the care of it?
Persian shield, 4 feet tall. Good job on that.
Love it.
That's
I love
big.
that plant. It is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Describe it.
Describe it. It's a purple plant that has like these sword-like leaves with these darker purple veins.
Oh,
And
wow.
like a silver sheen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you don't see them that large very frequently.
No, you don't. I actually have not tried to overwinter one inside. So I would say, just try to keep the light the same once you bring it inside. I would cut mine back.
That's the
and
tough
it would
part.
reflush. Yeah. Because it'll probably get a little bit leggy once you bring it in. Then make sure you're not overwatering it. I do have them up in the houseplants. We get them in little 2-inch minis. And once they dry out, they sit dry too long and then you water them. They tank pretty quickly, but then they can rot if they stay too wet. So you'll have to find that happy medium for that. So I think you can do it though.
Yeah, I think, like you said, shorten it a little bit. That's a little big for a houseplant. So we shorten that in half or so, and then you might see some regrowth over the winter. You might not, and don't expect it to look just beautiful over the winter.
But you can do it. 4 feet
It can
tall.
live.
I want to see a picture of that.
I know, I do too. I
That
love
sounds
Persian shield.
absolutely gorgeous.
Love it.
Speaking of the pictures, when you send them, it doesn't matter. You can send them while we're live on the air, but it's probably not going to get reviewed until next week. So if we catch some of these pictures, we'll talk about them next Saturday.
Yeah, and we'll
Speaking
get
of
to you.
pictures, do we have more pictures to look at here?
We have one more, but before we get to that, question about the cast iron plants. Are they indoor or outdoor? I'm looking for outdoor.
They can be both. So the ones behind you are hardy here. I would say they're a little marginal. I had some in a pot, so they weren't in the ground. They weren't as protected. They actually made it through almost the end of winter, and then they tanked right at the end. And I know a couple people have had that same issue with keeping them in pots outside. They should be okay in the ground. But yeah, the solid green ones are hardy here. The ones with variegation on the leaves are not. So you
But
can
that's
treat them as
only
an
if
annual.
they're in the ground and
In
not
the
in not
ground.
in the container
Right.
above the
If you
ground.
protect the container, it might be doable. But like I said, I lost mine, and I know a couple people who work here also had the same issue. They were like, it's weird. Made it all the way through. The leaves were up, and then just like February, it
Blah.
was ready to go. It said,
Yeah.
goodbye, world. Here I'm out. So we got a question from Donna. What can I plant in my flower beds that deer will not eat for the winter? I usually do pansies, but no more because of deer.
Well, unfortunately, there's not any other flowers that are going to make it through the winter instead of pansies. And deer love pansies. It's like food for them. What you could do is if you've got some shade, you could use Lenten rose, hellebore. Deer do not eat hellebore. And they don't bloom all winter or anything, but they are the first one to bloom as an evergreen perennial plant that's almost ground cover-ish. It doesn't get up very tall, but it does spread a little wide. But they got beautiful blooms in the early spring.
Nearly bulletproof.
Yep. Yeah, they really are. But you got to have a little bit of shade. You don't want to protect. You don't want too much sun on them.
I have heuchera. I've never had them mess with it. One time, it looked like a deer took a big bite out of my best one right in the middle and then just spit it out. So that has color. I mean, it does flower. The flowers aren't that great, but the leaves are colorful and gorgeous. And I haven't had much issue with those.
Would they bother those ornamental peppers?
They don't bother anything.
Probably only one time.
Probably one time, yeah.
Yeah. Talk to Ann in our office. She battles deer every day. Every day.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's a good one. Okay, so let's throw up that photo, Tyler, if you're ready for it.
I am. Are you ready?
I don't know. Are y'all ready?
Hey.
So we just got these in. I think we're actually sold out now, but somebody was asking, do they have to stay in the pot or can they be planted in ground?
They can certainly be planted in the ground.
And also let them know what they are, Austin.
They should be planted in the ground.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an emerald colonnade holly. It's a fairly new holly that Monrovia, I believe, introduced. It's a Monrovia exclusive. And it's been a really good plant. I talked to the sales rep from Monrovia, and I talked about it. It's seeing about how hardy it possibly was. So he has a neighbor that planted one across the street from him, an emerald colonnade holly, just one. And over this past winter, obviously, the deep freeze knocked every single leaf off, every single one. But he told me that after that happened, just like most things, it sent out a whole new flush of leaves. So that tells me that it's a nice hardy plant. It's a very good screening plant. And that's what Monrovia has done with these troughs that we've got, is that you can just literally sit that on your deck or whatever, and you've got an instant screen. So it's kind of, in this scenario, it's kind of made to be left in that pot to be set on like a porch or something. But like David said, you certainly plant that in the ground. I mean, there's 3 actual plants in there. So you could separate the 3 and plant them in the ground, spaced out apart, and they'll fill back in and make a screen.
My cautionary statement would be that if you have them on top of the ground, you effectively lose 2 hardiness zones. So if you're coming into a severe stretch of cold weather, if you just get them in the garage, until that stretch passes, then you can put them right back out, and that's it's a bit of trouble. But if you can do that, then you can manage them in a container above the ground. Otherwise, I would strongly suggest you plant them in the ground. You can make an instant hedge, whether you leave it in the container or if you put it in the ground. But on top of the ground, you're going to have to be mindful when you have temperatures that go, I would say, below 15 degrees. They will quickly freeze. And if you're in that situation, not just with these hollies or anything that you're concerned about and you can't get it in, and I know this sounds like incorrect information, but take the hose and saturate that soil as completely as you possibly can. What wet soil does is it fills those air spaces in the pores of the soil and slows down the penetration of the cold weather. It will freeze, but it doesn't freeze to as low a temperature if it's full of liquid. So just a tip to be mindful of in the coming months. Not right now, certainly.
Not right now.
Reuse that container. That's instantaneous above ground garden.
It is a giant looking window box.
Yeah.
Put 3 tomatoes in it.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, there you go.
3 peppers.
Get wild with it. So we've got a couple transplanting or separating questions that I want to get in before we run out of time. Somebody bought a 1-gallon Baptisia, which is one of my favorite perennials. I know Austin loves that one. It's fantastic. Mine is like a shrub. They planted it in May, and now they do want to transplant it, and they're wondering if they should do it now or wait until spring.
Don't wait until spring. Let's do it over dormancy. So if you've grown Baptisia before, it dies back from the top. Everything from the old stems will die back. So what you can do is cut that back about 6 inches above the ground. If you do that, that gives you something to kind of pull up and help you get something out, the old stems. Below those old stems, you'll see what we call eyes, and that's the new growth for next year. And this happens over the wintertime. It starts to form. and you'll see those, and that'll be where the clump is. Just make sure you know where your clump is. I mean, that's the whole point. And then dig up as much as you can, transplant it where you need to, soak it in really well, and let it be.
Yeah,
Baptisia is so hardy.
Yeah, and sometimes people use irrigation flags with a Sharpie to mark on them and put it in there before they go dormant, so that you know where to dig in case you forget to do all that ahead of time.
That's a good call, because I would be the person to go to transplant something and I wouldn't be able to find it. So, all right. So we have a question about maiden grass. It has taken over the area where they planted it, which means it's happy and healthy. And they're wondering, should they separate it and how to do that?
All right, look, if you don't like it where it is because it's crowding a space, then you certainly need to do something about it, okay? The maiden grass gets fat. It's annoying whenever it gets too big. They just want to get big. I'm just not a big fan of the big chunky grasses, but they do look really pretty this year. Grass has been great this year because of all the rainfall. But you can dig it up. You could separate it. You can literally take get yourself a Sawzall that's, and you can divide it into like quarters. You can divide it into whatever pretty much.
Mathematical conundrum.
Little chunks. You can keep it all as
Multiply
one big
by
chunk.
dividing.
Yeah. You can keep it all one big chunk if you can dig it up. The problem with that is digging it all up. It's kind of like that crepe myrtle we talked about earlier. You dig up most of it, or you think you've got most of it, and then you'll see a little sprig pop up next spring, and then you got a whole nother maiden grass issue. So get as much of it as you can, but yes, separating it is fine. Do the same thing like we were just talking about with Baptisia. Make sure you know where it's at. Do it during dormancy. Let it finish out for this season.
A tough dig.
Yeah, it is a tough dig.
You need a sharp,
dig up some grasses.
You need a sharp, high-quality shovel to dig with.
Yeah, it ain't
Well,
no
I-
joke.
I kind of gave it away,
What's
but
in bloom?
with Austin.
Let's keep it
All
going.
right, here we go. Same stuff from kind of last week with the trees. Magnolias, crepe myrtles, roses, Sharon, hibiscus, all those still going strong. I got some new ones, though, this week. Hey, your Encore azaleas, hence the name Encore. It's like they come back on stage. A lot of those are reblooming right now, so that's a great plant to grow as long as you've got enough sun. They really need sunlight. Hey, y'all, hydrangeas. I know this sounds weird, but the Endless Summer Collection hydrangea. The reason they're called Endless Summer is because they bloom off of the old wood first, and that's typically what they do. This year they did not, because freeze whacked that back. But they're called Endless Summer because the sucker sprouts will actually throw some blooms. So right now, I've noticed around town some little bitty blue or pink blooms that are just starting atop of this evergreen shrub that doesn't have any other blooms on it. But hey, you got a few. So there you go. Helianthus, the wild sunflower, all down the interstates. My God. Beautiful plant right now. All your natives, ironweed, Joe Pye weed, goldenrod. Rudbeckia is going. Hey, you know what else is going? The little blue mist flower. I don't know if you know what this is, but along, what's the...
It's a periwinkle
ditches.
color. Along
Yeah,
the
like
ditches.
around ditches around towns, they'll kind of naturalize. This is the wild ageratum. We sell ageratum as a little annual in the spring, but it can perennialize here. So the little bitty blue flowers you're seeing along the ditches. I can't get that word out.
You're also scooping those ditches.
I am just
like
rolling.
you're-
I'm trying
like
to
you're
roll.
eating
Trying to
ice
roll. It's getting
cream.
late. All right, wild ageratum. That's a cool plant. I noticed moonflower this morning. This is datura. Cool plant. Opens up at night. It can make this almost vine-ish. It's like a vine bush kind of thing. It's weird. If you grow it, you know what I mean. Like it's kind of viney, bushy, weird.
It gets real tall and it's poisonous.
It is. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. I mean, if you
Don't
do it
do
right,
it.
you go on a wild ride. If you do it wrong, you dead.
It's not a fun
And
So don't.
Gomphrena,
Yeah,
so
don't
don't.
do it.
Wow.
Gomphrena is an annual, but it perennializes here. I've got Gomphrena blooming in my yard right now from seed from last year. It's been coming back from seed for the past 3 years now. Shout out to Ann in the office who loves Gomphrena. Hey, my Vinca's still blooming, but you know what? I got to get it out because it's pansy tulip time. I know it looks good, y'all. I know your annuals look good, but pansies are ready to go. They're ready to go. Get them old things out and get the new stuff in. And then also your asters and your mums. Come get your
Aw,
mums.
Come get them. We have so many.
There you go. That's what's in bloom.
While you're talking about what's in bloom, I meant to send a photo for Tyler to put up last week because I knew Bridget would be able to ID that plant that Josh had brought up, the yellow plants that are in the fields and the pastures. Out in the country, it is, I believe, our native sneezeweed. So Bridget and I
Sneezeweed.
talked about that. I brought the picture.
Sneezeweed.
She immediately knew what it was. She was like, oh, that's what it is. We were discussing, it was kind of hard to find info on it. She was like, I'm pretty sure there is a native one, so that would be the native one. But if you're wondering what those yellow flowers are, Bridget immediately ID'd it because she is amazing at that. So now I know, now Josh knows, now we all know together.
Sneezeweed.
Yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it?
Sneezeweed.
Gesundheit.
Yes, and our probably final question of the
Okay.
morning, tips for seeding a new lawn.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's season.
It's
It is
time.
the season.
Yeah. It's time to get it. Go ahead and buy it. That's your first tip.
Aerate.
Aerate it, chop it up a little.
You need to get some of this rain that's coming through today.
Yes.
So this moisture is very necessary part of aeration. You can't aerate powder, hard, compacted ground. You just can't
the
do
cores don't core. And You can't core them. And a core type aerator as opposed to these slit slot kinds because they really don't do
those little
anything.
spike type aerators are. It's the confusion between activity and production. That's,
And tear it up when you aerate and then overseed. I mean, tear it up. Wear that lawn up.
When I was a kid, my dad used to make me and my little brother ride on the back of the aerator because it was one of them spike aerators and he needed more weight on it because it wasn't doing anything.
But
So
if
me
you're
and my
going to
brother-
fall backwards. Don't fall forward.
Oh, it was great. It was great. Me and Trav holding on. Dad just driving around. It's cool.
Sounds like a party.
It was a party. Shout out, Dad. Hope you're listening.
Yeah,
Doubt
but
it.
September 16th, we're 2 weeks into aeration season. I mean, that's September 1st is the first day. Legally,
Moisture
you
would
can
be
do it.
very beneficial.
Yes, do it a day before it rains. There's nothing like the rainfall. It just does something way better than just us watering for
We
some
missed
reason.
it for today. Already raining.
Real quick question from Rip. Nice quality Christmas cactus available. I think we're a little early on that, right?
We're a little early on that, correct. We don't have any in stock just yet, but we will be getting them soon.
I got
Okay.
one in the back. I'll give you a cutting if you want it. Come on in, see me. I'll give it to you.
You heard the man.
There you go.
Better come in, though.
Yeah.
All right,
Better be
folks.
nice quality, Austin.
Oh, it is.
Austin's a man of his word. If he
Uh-huh.
says he's going to give you something,
You better come out.
That's money.
It's true.
It is
free
It's
money.
true. He lost money
I
into
did.
his
Oh.
mouth
Okay,
on this
folks.
show.
I know.
Folks, that music means we're done
Yep.
for today. Next Saturday, we're going to come back.
absolutely.
Going to come here to you from the Green Room Studios. We're going to address your inside plant issues, your outside plant issues.
Everything gardening.
Yes.
Would you say it was? Never mind.
Never mind what.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
He was
You're gonna say goodbye,
he was gonna say
everybody.
go Vols.
Oh,
is
man.
what he was going to say.
Plant a fruit tree.
Yep.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for your questions today. We really enjoyed the interaction out there. Stay subscribed and liking and watching
Oh,
and
yeah.
sharing and spread the word of mouth.
Works for us. We'll see you next Saturday here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.